Derek, did you want to give us a report on the state nominating committee officers and directors?
Yep. I'm sharing it now.
Thank
This
you.
is from the nominating committee. We're recommending the slate: President Rick Kindle, Vice President David Gonzalez. Need to still find a secretary. Treasurer Roy Hodgkinson, Chief Admin Officer Dean Steichen, Assistant Secretary Lee Moy, and Assistant Treasurer Ron Saltgaver.
Great. I don't think we need to take any action or open up the nomination to anyone else. We just need to proceed to approve the slate as to presentation at the annual meeting. Is that correct, Derek?
I think so, yes.
Yes, sir. So I'll entertain a motion that this slate be approved by the board for presentation at the annual meeting.
This is Dale. I make that motion.
Okay. And do I have a second?
Ron Saltgaver.
Motion is made in second. If anybody opposes the approval of that motion as stated, would you please go on your screen and indicate your vote that you do not approve by signifying with a no vote?
Under reactions, there's a yellow, green check and a red X, if you want to use those. Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir.
So that's under reactions, provided you've got the latest update. I see one yellow, one green at the moment, that's all.
Would you please put me down as a green? I'm trying to get to it without going off the screen here, Derek.
Yeah, iPads are very different.
Yeah.
At the moment, there are 4 greens.
Come on, I got it in there.
Just to clarify, the request was for anybody to vote no, not yes.
Oh, okay. I was amplifying the fact that you can vote yes or no, rather than having to speak up and say no and not get a cacophony of noise.
A no would indicate that you do not approve the slate.
Then it's unanimous. There are no no's.
Great.
Would you agree, Roy? Sorry, Ron?
Yes, I do agree. Yeah.
Great. All right. With that having been taken care of, I apologize to Derek for having skipped over you. And let's proceed to report from Roy Hodgkin, our state treasurer, on quarterly assessments and status of the 2021 financials.
Can you see that okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. Roy?
Thank you. The first slide is just showing our revenue and expenses and what was budgeted. You can see we had a surplus from last year that was higher than planned. This is because our budget cycle starts in about October to get ready for the next year. And we spent less money in the last couple of months of last year than we had to allow for, because we had to allow for a maximum spend in case. So that's why we were higher than budgeted. On our assessments, our budget was on a pessimistic, roughly 10,000 members, and our actual has been higher than that. However, you'll notice that there's over $2,000 still pending, almost a month after the due date of April 15th. We'll come to that in more detail at the end of this discussion. We did have some income from branch closings for this year's budget. What you're seeing here in the branch closing budget is always an allocation across the entire year. And since this is financials year to date, that's up till the end of April, that represents 1/3 of a budget of about $5,000 that we anticipated from branch closing. Being ahead of budget on that is not really a good thing in terms of revenue. And a lot of branches are going to, if they close, provide less money than we anticipated because they do a good job with disposing of the funds based on the members' wishes. So our total revenue has exceeded our budget, but the difference of some $6,200 is really the difference in the cash forward amount based on savings from last year.
Phew, excuse me.
On the expense side, we have underspent really well on administration. Also, you'll note on committees, state meetings, and the regions. Thank you, somebody, for spending $34 so that at least I had a number here. On the insurance, what you see again is $17,000, which is 1/3 of the total $51,000 for the year spread across all the months. However, I noted over here that on insurance, we pay 25% of our renewal premium in May, which is roughly $12,335. Still looking for clarification on that from Philly, and sent a note asking for that information today. So it looks like we've overspent on insurance, but in fact, that's just a lump sum payment for the renewal. And we will then be spending, I think it's $31.40 per month the rest of the year. And that'll bring us in just under the budget amount, $51,000 for the calendar year. There are a couple of notes here. The asterisks on cash forward, I indicated that we were 5,500 under projections on the fourth quarter. So that I think it explained. And also, I thought that the committee expense of $1,700, $1,400 of that was for the public image task force. There was a branding guide and some other work that was done that was invoiced this year. So overall, looking reasonable. We have a surplus in plan that is higher than the budgeted surplus, and that's just because we haven't even started things up. The budget assumption for this year was that this year would be a mirror image of last year. Last year we had activities and everything going normal for the first quarter and then shut everything down. And so this year we're expecting that most things are going to be remaining shut down through the third quarter, and then we'll be really busy in the fourth quarter. We may do better than that because it appears that there's every likelihood we're going to be getting back into more activities starting through the summer, and that's all goodness. And as I said, all the budget numbers are spread across the months. So at the end of the year, it'll all wash out, but we will see spikes here and there as activities resume this year, and that's expected. So I wanted to go on to the next slide, please, Derek. So here's our income. You see the biggest component of it is cash forward. And remember, that is why we were able to waive the entire first quarter assessment across all the branches. So we gave up what was anticipated $17,000 of budget dollars because we had a surplus from last year as a result of the lockdown. So that's what the big blue pie piece is. Assessments are what I've already reported. We're just a little bit ahead of the budget on that for second quarter. And the branch closing is the other significant item, but it's still only 4% of what our revenues are. Thank you, Derek. Perfect. On expenses, administration, 7%. We've got some committee expenses, which are 7%. We highlighted those. And all the rest is insurance. Our expenses are very much insurance-based at this point, and that'll continue throughout the year. $51,000 is well more than half of our budget. I think our total budget was in the 70s. So it's a big chunk. Now, the other thing that happens every year as treasurer. My name is on some 130 corporations registered in California. And every one of those corporations has to satisfy the government reporting. And this is the matrix that shows which government agency and activities are having to be reported. Obviously, the bulk of these are tax items, but there are also annual reports to the Attorney General's Registry of Charitable Trusts, which are, I think, the lines that are most highlighted in yellow there because they are pending to be done this week. Most of the activities have been completed. As you can see, there's dates in cells. There's also a lot of not applicables. That's just so the matrix would be complete and represent everything we might have to do across all the different organizations. You'll notice that it's Sur State in the middle, and then it's all the branches next to that, and the foundation is over on the right side because that's another entity that we need to completely report on. The California tax filing is done for the state. It says they're filed, a copy pending. I got the copy after I submitted these slides. It's one of those things where we have to create the form in a PDF and then we have to submit it. And so the copy is of what the PDF looked like as it was submitted. And the same is true for the Group 199, which is still pending filing. I've been working with our CPA, Mike Berry, who does a lot of the tax preparation for us. And that is the item that is left to do this week. Due date for all of our reporting is typically 5/15, as you'll see in the column second from the left. In a lot of the filings, the tax filings, we definitely want to get in on time. The agencies are busy because they did extend the personal reporting deadline out to the same kind of time frame. I think it's May 17th is the deadline for individuals. So they've been real busy, and yet we still are getting stuff in on time. And I'll be working with the Attorney General's reporting the end of this week and submitting that by email for all of our registered branch corporations. So that's the stuff that's going on over the past couple of months. I'll take questions on all the financials, and then I'll provide information on the second quarter assessments that are overdue.
Yeah, Roy, that's the question I had. What can we do about the branch? I have two branches that are behind on the Q2 assessments. How can I make to put to them that that needs to be done when they come back to me saying, well, we haven't met, we don't have any, we haven't generated anything. So what can we do for that aspect?
Well, it's all about the insurance. And when you go on a 2-week vacation, you don't cancel the insurance on your house while you're away.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the status. It's the very most significant item in our state budget. And we have to keep it in place. We can't suspend it for a month or two. We can't suspend it because we've got, some of many branches busy having activities right now. Now,
that's what I told them. I said, the state and the state board already agreed to suspend Q1. I said, we can't keep doing that, just because there hasn't been any meetings. You're still a corporation. You still have to function. But the point's is not getting clear. So I'm just trying to figure out what else to do.
Well, I have 12 branches that are on the list of not yet either providing the assessment funds or any communication around what their problem is.
Yeah, I'm 2 of them.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it. So those branches are considered overdue and not communicating at this point.
Yeah. Thank you, Roy.
That's just from my perspective, because that's the only way I can track it.
Okay.
And I've had one branch come back and ask the question from the treasurer, and I advised that if the branch was having financial challenges, that should be reported through the Big Sur to the area governor so that we could understand how to best help that branch.
Right.
That was the most positive message I could give back when somebody said, we're not sure we should be paying. And so, fair question, fair answer. And I'd expect the communication to be happening from any branch that has not yet and has any kind of functioning officers or BEC. And the concern is that there are, a dozen branches that don't seem to be communicating, which suggests that they don't have any officers who are active in their role.
No, they do. They just don't think they just don't think that they should have to do anything. That's why I was asking you what's another suggestion I could use. Well, thank you for your answer. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd like to see the fact that they are thinking they shouldn't be paying in writing, and then we've got something we can work with.
That I can generate. I can get the big sirs from those two branches to get some correspondence to me and to you, and I will send them to you as soon as I hear from them.
Yeah, I think it just needs to go up the chain of command, because if that's the position they want to take, then we'll have to figure out how to respond to that through the area governor and regional directors and the board.
Thank you, Roy.
Okay, Ron Saltgaver has a question for you. Ron?
What branches have closed this year?
I would have to do some research on that.
Okay.
Several branches have closed. I'd have to be going back into my QuickBooks accounting for the checks
Okay.
received, branch closing. I don't,
155 is one of my questions.
sorry?
Branch 155?
Ron, it's John. I responded earlier this morning. 155 is a golf-only branch.
Agreed. But they still, are they a branch or not? Because I'm not getting Form 28s.
I hear you. And I sent a note to Bob Turner this morning as well. Still waiting an answer.
Okay,
But,
thank you. That's all I need. Just need some response. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So sorry, Ron, I don't have the branches that have closed this year at my fingertips. I can get that information if it would be helpful.
Well, relative to the Form 28s, I think only 2 of the 102 are having difficulties getting. So I'm getting Form 28 reports from essentially everybody.
Yeah,
155 is about, I think, the only one that I'm not. So, but just a comment. So,
that's good. On the second quarter assessments, we had exactly 101 branches that were invoiced.
okay.
And I think branch 81 was in some kind of questionable limbo in Rossmore.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to get in touch.
Rick Kindle has a question.
Roy, as we discussed earlier with 163, they have responded. I'm not sure exactly what their assessment is. I would guess it's around $200. Would it be our position that we're going to defer it until such time as they're able to pay it? I don't think we can just tell them we're not, that we're just going to waive it. So we have to.
Did you
Right.
say 163?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I received their $210 on April 12th.
So they're good till the third quarter.
Yeah, there'll be another one due on July 15th. Let me go through the, for all the benefit of the directors and the area governors on the call, let me go through the numbers of the branches that have not yet responded
Okay, thank you.
in terms of sending me a check or giving me some definite status. Branch 14. Branch 17. Branch 51. Branch 55. Branch 73 with a note that they would be reminded by John Hafner on May 8th. Branch 92 and branch 94 and branch 101. Branch 134 is a large branch. They have a $357 assessment that's in limbo, missing, not known. Branch 142, also significantly large, $257. Branch 157, and that's the end of the list. So at this point, there are 11 branches outstanding, and we have collected 90.5% of the planned assessments.
Roy, this is Pat Reed. Did you say branch 51 and branch 94?
Yes,
branch 51 and branch 94. Thank
yes.
you.
Those are both unknown, no check, no information, don't know anything about them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about the branches that are overdue?
Roy, Dennis here. Just one quick question. Did you say 65?
No,
Thank
Nope.
you.
65 paid on time on April 8th.
That's great. They're having a big outdoor meeting today at a park. They're on a roll.
Good to hear. Okay, thank you all for your time.
Roy, I'm going to keep you on the screen and have you proceed to talk about the special awards that we wanted to give to Mike Berry. I give you credit for being the author of the suggestion that we have a special award for Mike Berry, and we name it after
Not
one
available.
of our illustrious former presidents. Roy, if you would like to proceed.
I would, and Stu, we haven't had a discussion, but I'd be hesitant to name it after the former president if that person wasn't also a recipient of the individual contributor award.
Have
We want to do something special for Mike Berry, who's done just so much, gone beyond, above and beyond the call of duty. Roy, you want to briefly discuss that?
Yeah, let me quickly read the proposal that I sent to Stu. It's just a couple of paragraphs. Mike Berry was Assistant State Treasurer for 2006 to 2009, served as State Treasurer in 2010, and again in 2012 through 2014. His return to the State Treasurer position in 2012 was necessitated by the actions of a, quote, bad apple 2011 State Treasurer who mismanaged funds and did not file required tax documents. Mike spent many hours jointly with the Assistant Treasurer, Carl Ryden, cleaning up the mess left behind, and received in 2012 the Honorary Life Member Award from the State Board. As a retired CPA, Mike provided the expertise needed to prepare and submit required tax filings for SIR Incorporated as well as all its branches, and has done so for the last decade. He's consistently transformed SIR Inc. year-end financial records into Form 990EZ federal, Form 199 state tax returns. He also negotiated with the state of California to allow us to do a group filing, and prepares the IRS filing data and reports out of the CERT database. He ensures the numbers are consistent across tax years to avoid filing documents that would bring questions from the authorities. Based on this history over the past decade, I feel it appropriate to recognize Mike Berry's contribution to SIR with a state award for his dedicated service. And the reason I'm suggesting an individual contribution award is he's already a state HLM, and I don't know what else we could do within the existing award structure.
Thank you, Roy. Does anyone else have any thoughts in how we can recognize Mike Berry's contributions, which are innumerable under the circumstances? Please chime in.
If he hadn't already got an honorary HLM, that would have been the obvious one.
What about some kind of presidential citation?
Yeah.
It's what Roy and I had talked about. A lot of us get, the appreciation awards from the president, having served as a committee chairman, a state committee chairman, an officer director. It would be nice if we could do something for him beyond that type of acknowledgement. And Roy and I had discussed some potential things. I would be happy to follow through. I think the board would probably feel comfortable maybe having a special plaque done for him or something, and spending maybe up to $50 or $75 to have it done and engraved for a presentation.
I for one, would certainly think this is a great idea. Stu, I was on the board, my very first year on the board when all this hit the fan with the treasurer misallocating funds, and knew Mike Berry very well and worked with him a lot. And he certainly certainly deserves all the recognition that we can give him.
Well, as I indicated, Dean, I would be happy to head up that effort and to get something special made up for him and presented if I can have board authority to do so.
Dave Gonzalez has a question or comment.
Would we give this to him at the annual meeting? I think that would be,
Yes, sir.
that would certainly enhance.
Those are my thoughts, Dave.
Stu, do you need a motion to do this?
Yes, sir.
If so, I would certainly make that motion that we make a special award for Mike Berry.
And authorize the expenditure of up to X amount of dollars to do so.
Yes.
This is Pat Reed. I second that.
Okay. What figure did we want to put on that presentation?
Stu, what about $100?
Sounds good. Up to $100.
Up to $100, yes.
Yeah, that'll be fine, Pat.
Can we get something decent for $100? That's my question.
Yes, I think we can.
Because I don't think we should get anything that just looks cheap and thrown together.
No, not at all. Not at all. And, I think to do it in some type of plaque and special award for him would be appropriate rather than just sending him a piece of paper saying thank you.
Yeah, piece of paper gets lost and doesn't look so good.
Yeah, it does.
Plaque, a good looking plaque.
Yes.
If you have to come back for more money, please do.
Okay. And anybody in opposition to that, please signify by doing so that Ron can record it. We have a motion, a second, to authorize a special presentation for Mike Berry and expending up to $100. Anybody in opposition to that, please signify at this time.
Dennis had a comment.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Dennis.
Stu, just a comment. Stu, if you will look at your past Big Sur plaque that 149 gave you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, those are beautiful. I just helped the branch being the historian get two more. Those are about just under $50 a piece, and that's a beautiful plaque. So up to
It is.
$100, we're going to get something very nice.
Yes, sir. I agree. I thought that you were referring to the exhausted rooster presentation I gave to you when you went
Oh,
out.
that's
as Big
wonderful.
Sur.
But no, those we use within the branch for the Jokathon Award and the past Big Sur. They're beautiful plaques.
Yes. Yes, they are.
That I just picked, like I said, I just picked two up and it was $96.46 for the two from the engraver here in Napa.
Yeah, right. That's where I was anticipating going, Dennis. And
But I
follow-
can, once you guys get it all settled and get the wording you want, I can take care of that.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's move on to Dale Decker. We have some items that we want to review, the policy and bylaw revisions. Dale, I'm going to give the floor to you to go over those, starting with proposal 1 on policy 45.
All right, I'll take it, Stu. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You want these put up a screen? You want to share them? You want me to share them or what?
Yes, go ahead.
See if I can get these things up here. Where if I could fit, you got to give me permission to share, I guess, right?
You do have permission to share.
Once I can figure this out. Can you see that right there?
No,
Can't see it. All right. Hang on. How about now? Share? Let's see.
There we go.
You got it?
nope.
Damn, what's going on here? I don't know. Thought I had this figured out.
I think they're at the bottom of the, we're
I got it
looking,
on my screen.
we're looking,
There you are.
there you go. Yeah,
You got it?
yeah.
Okay, the first one is revised policy 45. It had come up in the past that a concern was raised by not having chief administrative officer as a member of state executive committee, and it was important that he had voting rights. Could lead to, if he didn't have it, it could lead to administrative conflicts and oversights. So it was proposed by Stu Williams, and this is what this came from. Additionally, this revision, if it's approved, it will increase the membership to 5 members instead of 4, so that you don't have a stalemate. With 5, you can always get a vote. So the policy is written to include the chief administrative officer as with a member with voting rights. That clear?
Yes, sir.
So I need to have a vote on that, if I may, or a motion to accept, and then a second in the discussion if you want. Have a motion?
So
To
moved.
accept-
So
To
moved.
accept policy 45 revision.
Rick moves.
Roy seconds.
Roy
Any
Baker.
discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Or
Why don't we,
anybody?
so Dale, why don't we have it so that if anybody objects to it, to raise,
That's even
raised
easier
it.
still. All right, anybody object to this revision? I don't see anything. All right. It's been
not
accepted.
appearing, it is approved.
It's approved. All right. The next one is bylaw 220, which needs to be passed to support this revision to 45, allowing the chief administrative officer to be a member of the executive committee and having voting rights. I would like to have a motion to approve it. We have to have this one if we approve the first one or otherwise. And this will be voted on at the annual meeting in August.
Rick, so move.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Any
Dennis?
discussion?
Dennis Bangberg, yeah, okay.
Any discussion? And anybody opposed to this motion and vote? None? So motion approved.
Motion approved.
All right, next one is policy 50. Let me find that one. Hopefully you guys have read all these.
Yes,
Uh, Policy 50 currently says that the Information System Committee members are appointed by the president. And it's been proposed that the chief administrative officer make these appointments because he's the one that has to run this thing and he knows the people that should be on it. So proposal is to change it from the president appointing the committee members to the chief administrative officer. Do I have a motion to accept this revision?
I approve the motion.
And a
Pat?
second? And a second?
Ron Salkava.
Any discussion? Anybody opposed to approving this motion?
Dale, I had one discussion item
Okay,
on this. We're going to have to revisit some of the text of that down in the later part that's descriptive of the website.
okay,
Second paragraph later. It's not, we don't have to do it now, but we should do it later. We are in the process of rewriting the We Are Sir website in WordPress to get it out of the current Squarespace technology so that we can manage it ourselves. And we're making some significant progress on that. Alan Baker has made some significant progress, and I think has shared that the first parts of it with Roy and so we're working in that direction, and maybe by the next board meeting we will have an opportunity to maybe wordsmith this one section a little bit.
all right, that sounds good. If you want to include me in that, Dean, thank you.
Okay.
So it's just basically technical.
It's a
Technical
clarification.
revision.
I don't even know what we need to
Yeah,
vote on that.
Yeah, no, we don't need to vote on it.
No, just send it to me and I'll put it in as a clarification when it's ready.
Yeah.
Yes,
And let's see, where would we, nobody was opposed to this provision?
no opposition,
No
motion
opposition,
passed.
that's passed then. Okay, next one is, I'm gonna get to this. Revised policy 22A. This is a new member induction oath, and it started with Jim Johnson prior to his passing. He was very adamant about some clarification to the wording of the induction oath. And if you've read through this, I think it's very clear now. So I would like to have a motion to approve policy 22 revision to the new member induction oath.
I'll make that motion. Dean Steichen.
All right, and a second?
Pat Reed, second.
Any discussion? Anybody opposed to approving this policy revision?
None appearing. The
None at
motion
all. All right, it's passed then unanimously. All right, and the last one, this one I tried before, the revised policy 41 to clarify the limit of advertising that may be done in a branch roster or a branch newsletter or bulletin. Right now, at least in the roster, it says you can have 3 advertisements on the last page, but it didn't really cover the newsletter or the bulletin. And in looking back, I'm a member of Elks. Elks allows 1 page of advertising in their monthly newsletters to offset the cost of their operations. And we propose this to do the same thing for our branches. Let them have 1 single page in the bulletin newsletter and also in their branch roster if they publish it for local advertising to offset branch expenses. So that is directly the proposal that I've got here. If I could have a motion to approve policy 41 revision.
Could we have some discussion on this?
We'll get to that
little
after the
bit?
motion, yes.
Okay.
So I have a
So moved.
motion.
So move, Rick.
Rick Kendall moved. A second? Do I have a second? Hopefully I have a second.
Ron Solkaver.
Second, okay, discussion. Go ahead, Dean. You got a discussion item?
Yeah, well, I have a little concern. The roster only goes to members and is only shared with members.
Yes,
But newsletters and branch newsletters
and bulletins.
and bulletins and so forth are made available to the world through their websites and so forth. And so it's a little different situation than just sharing it with our own members. And I think we ought to at least think about that a minute, before we that may become a concern.
Well, but the Elks Lodge, the Elks group there, they send their bulletins out and that has the same thing, it has a full page of advertisements on it. And I don't see where that's a problem.
Well, our issue is we're not supposed to be promoting anybody else in any other organization. I mean, that's part of our modus operandi in SIR. So we're a little different than an Elks Club.
Well, one would think that the branch would use their discretion in what advertisement they approve. I mean, it's going to be a branch by branch thing. I think this may be a good way for them to generate some revenue and also to build upon their newsletter and whatnot that they may be sending out.
I agree with Stu. I think it'd be a big benefit to the branches because it helps them with their expenses, especially these branches that don't have very much money right now.
Right. And it would encourage them getting a timely newsletter out.
Yes, it would. Yes.
I guess.
And I
the
think in
main
most
thing-
cases, it's probably local support, or their local vendors and all that would be in the bulletins and stuff,
I
helping
think
the
the
community.
critical matter is that there should not be any political ads.
Yes, well, we already tell them there's no, in the bulletin thing, nothing political, nothing religious at all.
Nope.
That's pretty well defined.
So this is Roy. I've got a very different focus on this particular item. I'm asking myself, why is any branch printing anything on physical paper for newsletters or rosters to distribute that? Why are they not distributing all of that material digitally? And that would then completely eliminate the need to consider the costs, which can be completely avoided, and then the advertising that is used to manage the costs that are completely avoidable.
Well, Roy, you're right to a point. Most branches have electronic distribution of the bulletins and all, but there's a number of people that don't have emails or internet, and they mail those, and they're mailing it 50 cents per copy or more to all of those members. I know branch 136, we've got like about 20 we mail out every month. So I know there's other branches that have to mail them.
So that's why you calculate the budget for the branch and charge dues.
Well,
It's
Or you do that as a subscription, that like our branch, if you want yours mailed out, it's a subscription to the newsletter. If you want yours mailed to you by postal. So there are other solutions.
It's a practice that's being used by a lot of branches already, and basically all we're doing is endorsing what they're already doing. I mean, I
That is
know
correct.
branches
That's
that
correct.
have full
That is
pages of
correct.
ads already, so and all they do is go back and renew them every year. It doesn't take very long, so 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
I think what I'm saying is by tweaking and adjusting and clarifying, I don't want to give anybody the impression that we're encouraging this physical printing of materials for members. And I think we ought to have a directional statement that says you should be avoiding these costs rather than trying to figure a way how to manage them in this way with advertising.
I'd also lay another argument about the electronic portion of it. Those that are using Constant Contacts will find out that really only 25 or 30% of their information is being reached. So sometimes the only way you can reach some of these people is by mailing it.
That's correct. I just thought it was a way to help the branches. I mean, we need to do more as a state organization, help the branches in what they're doing.
Right. I'm going to call the question. Let's get to the vote on this because we have
Okay.
other items we want to proceed on.
That's the
I
last
don't mean
item.
to cut off discussion, but if there isn't, then let's proceed to call for the vote on this. We've got a motion made and second and discussion having taken place. Is there anybody opposed to this?
Anybody opposed?
Derek, what is the vote on that?
Derek, you there? Derek is muted.
Okay, I only see 1, 2, 3 green yeses, 1 red no. I would suggest that everybody who has voting capacity
Vote.
go to the reactions and either vote yes with the green or no with the red. And then we can do a complete count. Yeah, it's very much approved. 1, 2, 3, 6, I see 7 yes, 1 no.
So it's approved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Approved.
That's all I had, Stu.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and proceed to other items that may be properly before the board. There's several things that we wanted to cover. I'm going to give the floor first to Regional Director from Region 1, Dave Gonzalez. Dave, you had a presentation that you and Ed Benson were going to make, but Ed is unavailable today. So I'll give the floor to you, Dave.
Well, let me wing it. Please bear with me. I've got a little bit of a prepared presentation so I can zip through this quickly. I have what amounts to is a pre-proposal or pre-resolution. And it's about a possible new SIR activity, SIRS Helping Medical Science. Surprisingly, there is a lack of research on issues pertaining to senior men, that is retired men. And it seems the culprit is a lack of participants for the research. This has caused a lack of important insights into medical issues that affect our members and other senior men. And SIR has attempted to help UCSF in the past. I think we've done 3 surveys through Constant Contact. Participation from our members was very good. UCSF was very appreciative of our efforts in their behalf. Now, Ed Benson, several members, and myself would like to explore increased support of medical research. We want to explore the possibility of creating this new voluntary activity for SIR members. The idea is very simple. A coordinating team would create relationships with UCSF, other like institutions, to identify research projects that affect senior men. We would email our members asking for participation through Constant Contact. That could either be to participate in a survey through Constant Contact, or it could be to suggest that our members participated, for instance, clinical trials. Our team would work to ensure that the research projects are relevant to our membership, that our members' confidentiality is protected, and we would ask that results, or I should say the final report of these projects, would be distributed to our members on request. We will also contact our legal advisor, Alan, and our insurance chair to ensure that we include the proper protections for our members and our organization. Our first step would be to survey SIR membership to see how many people would be willing to participate in this kind of activity. If there is little interest, we would not pursue this further. However, if there is good commitment, then we would put together a more concrete proposal and bring it to the board in a future date. What I'm asking for today is a simple straw vote that if there is sufficient interest among our members to participate in this kind of project, would board members be willing to look at and possibly support such a program in the future?
So Dave, what you're asking for is a straw vote authorizing you to pursue any interest in this project and start with a survey to do so. Have you established a threshold of what the survey results you would be looking for as far as participation?
No, we haven't. And that's a good question, but we haven't gotten to that part yet. No.
Okay. Gentlemen, what is your feelings? Let's open it up to discussion.
I'll open it up if you like. Totally support it. And is there a minimum requirement from the medical people organizations? Would they want more than 500 or more than 5,000, for example? Can they set the benchmark for our numbers?
Good point. You're familiar with this kind of research. Yes, once we get the survey, then I think we need to compare our results to what would be typical minimums. Good suggestion.
Any other comments from the board?
Should we find out what those minimums are before we put the survey out to the membership?
Well, I think we can compare for starters, prior participation to what would be a typical sample size. And I would imagine that there's quite a bit of variance in this sample size. Yeah.
Dave, John here. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. I think we should do it.
Thank you.
Agreed.
And this is Roy. I'm strongly supportive of this. Understand that the minimums make some sense, especially if people are self-selecting. You tend to need a larger pool for significance in terms of statistical analysis. But if we can even get 1,000 or 2,000 members to be willing to respond, that is way better than what UCSF might have today.
Absolutely. And, the other thing is, certainly there are a couple of great research institutions in Northern California. And as we build these relationships, kind of a side benefit might be a whole host of speakers for various branches on issues affecting senior men. And plus, it's fodder to advise our members on new research, new treatments on diseases, ailments, conditions that our members currently have.
Yeah, Dave, in fact, going back several years, I've been a proponent of something I call Sir Health, which I think Branch 8 does some of this in terms of providing physician hours or guidance to members, group activities for members who have shared health problems, such as, cooking for diabetics or whatever it might be in terms of dietary constraints, where they can be supportive of each other. And we actually then have the members helping their peers.
Yes.
And so this is one element of a broader umbrella that we might refer to as Sir Health, as opposed to Sir Activities or Sir Administration or the Sir Luncheons. Sir Health is a whole other category of things that, as an organization, we could do well to serve our members.
Yes,
All right,
that
gentlemen.
could be very much an outcome of this this initial proposal.
Based upon the positive reactions that you're receiving, I think we can appropriately say that the straw vote is to proceed with your initial endeavors, and unless there's any opposition to that, and that you want to vote, any of the officers or directors want to voice at this time, you're authorized to proceed in that regard.
Thank you, and thank you to the board.
The next item, and Davey gave me a great segue to this, is Steve Schramm from Branch 8. He has a proposal for a pilot program to be handled by Branch 8. Steve, I believe you're on.
Yes, thank you, Stu, and thank you for the opportunity to present our proposal. So last year at Sir Branch 8, we put together a cross-section of members, and we asked them to kind of think out into the future about what would enrich the experience of our members and help us to attract new members over the next 3 to 5 years. And one of the recommendations of that group was to establish a volunteer activity. So these are a group of our members who would volunteer to participate in community service projects. And these are projects that would be led and directed by other organizations. And as we put together the elements for this activity, we ran squarely into policy number 8, worthy causes, which seems to prohibit this kind of an activity. And so we wanted to come to you and describe a little bit about what we'd like to do and what we are not including in this. So what we're not including are things like cash donations and raising funds. And we're not requiring any of our members to participate. This is strictly a group of volunteers who would look at the landscape here in Contra Costa County and determine community service projects like food banks, community service days, and they would choose to participate in these activities. And then further, as we've talked to new members and potential members, they're looking for ways to give back to their communities. And so we see this as a way to attract new members. And as we get out and participate in these projects, we would be wearing our SIR merchandise and basically advertising the organization and raising the SIR profile within our communities. So it's really about volunteerism. It's about helping the community. And a side benefit, we believe, is our ability to recruit members to our organization. So we're kind of looking for a way to create an exemption to policy number 8, or perhaps a change to that policy to enable us to go forward with this new activity.
Steve, as you and I have discussed going all the way back to February on this issue, and because we've been working on this for some time, what you're asking for is basically a pilot program to report back to the board without currently changing the policy, but a pilot program to try to see what the benefits could be of establishing this type of situation.
Yeah, that's right, Stu. I think if we would be able to engage in this for 4 to 6 months, we could then come back to the board with some, real experience as to how it's worked, what problems we may have run into, and come up with a recommendation at that point.
Okay, so my understanding and before the board is the creation of a pilot program. Not a lot of difference from what we just talked about with Dave Gonzalez in regards to seeing what other avenues may be available for us going down the line and in the future.
Yeah. I'm happy
Gentlemen,
to
I'll
answer any
open it up.
questions.
Roy has his hand up.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to comment that I certainly feel a lot of identification with this kind of initiative, and that I've got, instead of the one job I retired from, I've got 3 new volunteer jobs in my life that keep me busy. That's just on a personal level. I want to comment on an organizational level that these kinds of things, cleaning up parks and creeks, or fixing up the local fishing dock, maybe being able to contribute a few wheelchairs to a youth facility or something. These are all consistent with the mission of the SIR Foundation in respect to its offering grants based on applications coming in from within the SIR organization. SIR branches perhaps can't do that, but the SIR Foundation, as a partner 501c3, is specifically designed to be able to receive applications and make grants out of funds that are contributed to the SIR Foundation. And so this is a pathway into doing greater community service for the SIR organization as a whole, and we're structured towards it already.
Yeah, Roy, while we're not seeking to raise funds, I think this effort is in the same spirit as the SIR Foundation. That's the way we look at it.
Correct. That's the reason why the foundation is there. It can be the official place where funds are raised. Grants from other organizations may be contributed to the foundation, and then we can provide grants to branches for qualifying projects based on their application.
Any other questions from any other board member, officer, or director?
Hafner has his hands up.
John?
Steve, well stated, as you know, I've been involved with several other branches, not only 8, but down in San Ramon as well, with regards to community service as an activity for SIR. I fully endorse this. I support it. And let's use the pilot to prove to the rest of the organization that it makes sense.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
John,
Rick,
will you make that as a motion then for the board?
one
So
second.
moved.
This a question from Rick Kindle still.
I didn't have a question. I would just be in agreement with John and in support of Steve and Branch 8's proposal as a pilot program. I'm totally supportive of it.
So you're seconding John Hafner's motion then that
Yes.
we create a pilot program?
Yes, sir.
My,
Okay.
my question would be, under the pandemic, are there any volunteer activities going on at all in the community? If there are no volunteer things going on, we've got, it would be, I don't see how we could join them. Maybe this has to be delayed for a while or.
Well, Derek, if I
Derek, I
could,
could-
the
Steve,
food
excuse me.
bank is in
One at a
full
time.
operation. And so there's an opportunity for us to participate at the food bank or Meals on Wheels or other projects that are currently underway.
Okay,
I mean,
as long as they're-
there's the Monument Crisis Center, Derek, and there are garden clubs that are effectively working in their communities as volunteers.
good. As long as there's something we can volunteer for and it's not just, if there was nothing there, it wouldn't be worthwhile starting. So I'm glad to hear it.
Derek, let me recommend to you the Orinda July 4th Parade that is now currently searching for volunteers.
Oh,
Well said, Roy.
I'll leave that to branch 171 and 74.
And we've got the Moraga Pear Festival as well. So
Oh, good.
All right, gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on creating this pilot program for the next 6 months and have them report back to the state board on what they've been able to determine?
I would just suggest, why don't we make it for the calendar year?
That'll be fine, Roy. Report back next year to the board in 2022.
Please go to reactions and click on the green if you agree. Red if you don't. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 9.
And I'm trying to approve it as well, Derek.
That would be 9 green, no red.
Great. So that has been approved. Steve, please proceed and the best of luck to you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And finally, the last item, I'm going to go back to Regional Director from Region 1. Dave, you wanted to report on the public imaging or SIR imaging, what's going on there?
Well, I think the next significant event is we're having a Zoom meeting to present the new brand guide to branch big SIRs, little SIRs, news editors, publicity chairs, the public image committee members will be invited, and so will the state board, and those affected at the state level by the guide. And that meeting, if you want to write it down, will be May 26th at 1 p.m. And I think the announcement should go out no later than the close of business tomorrow. We had a little hiccup last week where our consultant, Mary Odbert, had to change the initial time. So May 26th at 1 p.m. And the purpose of the meeting is to both familiarize the branches with the brand guide, but also to suggest to them how branding increases membership through attraction versus recruitment. And we're going to talk a lot about how they can help recruit more members.
Thank you, Dave. Is there any other items to come before the board?
I'd like to just mention one thing that I passed around a little bit, Stu. The California Department of Insurance has contacted me about offering to share information that they have concerning things like senior fraud and health and insurance issues and things like emergency and wildfire preparedness and other things. that they have available. I sent out, and I didn't get any real strong positive response from the board, and several board members indicated that they didn't think it was something that we wanted to have them share directly with our members. I just wanted to make sure that is the consensus of the board.
Well, why don't we take a straw vote as we did on Dave's previous item, and kind of get a feeling as to what people may feel in that regard. We can proceed on a region by region. We start with the regional directors. Dave, what's your feeling in that regard?
Works for me.
Okay. How about you, Dale?
Works for me, yes.
Okay. How about you, Dennis?
Works for me.
Okay. Pat?
Works for me.
Okay. And John Hafner?
John's still there.
He's been having a problem with communication, apparently.
All right.
He
Why
just
don't
told me.
I proceed with the officers? As far as I'm concerned, it works for me as well. Rick Kendall?
Yes.
Okay. And Roy?
Sure.
All right. Sounds good. And Ron Flagel?
Yes.
Okay. And Ron Saltgaver?
Also a yes.
And finally, our friend Lee Moy.
I don't know if he's still here.
I don't think he's there.
He gave us a thumbs up.
All right, good. All right. So Dean, go ahead and proceed with it accordingly.
All right, thank you.
Any other items, gentlemen, that we need to bring up? We're only 10 minutes past our 2-hour limit, so we did quite well.
I've got a very quick one.
Surely.
Wearing the hat of president of the foundation, we're about to pay a second year for the Zoom purchase that we made of the 10 accounts. Since the foundation has no income, it would be very nice if Sir Inc. were to donate some money enough to pay for Zoom, because we're using Zoom very much. It's saving a lot of money, and I think it's a great investment.
Yes, I agree.
Well, it is money well spent.
No question about it.
Right. Dale, why don't you make a motion that we, what is the cost of
What is the cost?
of our commercial Zoom account?
I'll have to ask Roy that, but it's that plus we're paying extra to get a half price version. So it's something like $9.99 instead of $2,000. And then it's maybe $100 from the people we get the discount from.
Yes.
So
So how about if I make a motion that Sir Inc. Donates $1,200 max?
I second
For
that
the actual
motion.
cost.
Pat Reed.
Well, I just was trying to highlight that there's already budget item for software, including the Zoom licenses in the SIR budget for this year.
Oh, good.
So what I'd suggest is that it be approved that there be a donation consistent with the budget.
And do we know exactly how much the budgeted item is?
I think it was 1,500, expecting some escalation in the price over time.
All
But
right.
we would only make the appropriate amount as a contribution. We don't have to spend it all.
Okay. So the motion is that we make the contribution to the foundation according to the projected budget estimate that was prepared by you. Does that work for you, Dale, as far
Yes,
as?
that worked. Exactly. Yes, that worked very good.
Okay, and we have a second from you, Roy.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, good for that.
Anybody opposing it, please signify on your screen. None appearing. The motion has been made and passed.
Thank you.
Perfect, good.
Just to emphasize, the licenses to use Zoom belong to the foundation, and we're not allowed to give them away or transfer them to anybody.
Yes,
So it has to be a donation, not a direct payment by Sir Inc.
Correct.
okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other items that come before the board?
Oh, I have some good news. I have some good news. We have a leadership symposium next week, 19th and the 20th.
Great. Thank you, Lee.
That's
Thank you
it.
for bringing it. Any further items come before the board?
This is Roy.
Yes.
Dean, I'm not wanting to put you on the spot, but I have had some questions about how the branding will be implemented for the branches that are hosted by Sur State. The websites for the branches that are hosted by Sur State. So I just wanted to make sure that that was an awareness that would be ready to be addressed at the announcement of the branding out in later May.
Okay. We'll work that in. And I'm going to have conversations with Dean about that too. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Why don't we do that off the Zoom meeting and we can get that resolved accordingly.
Absolutely.
But the
are you referring to branch ones? Or are you referring to Sir Inc. and We Are Sir?
No, specifically referring to the branch websites.
Yeah, well, we don't really meddle with theirs except the ones that we produced for them. We produced 20 or 25 of the websites for them, and yeah, we can bring those into compliance with the new guidelines. I think Alan Baker and his crew will take care of that. But the ones that are we host but are managed by the branch themselves, we're going to have to probably try to work with them and help them.
Yeah, that sounds good, Dean. I just wanted to make sure that nobody was blindsided by some of the things I heard from the branches.
Yeah.
Good catch.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to adjourn the meeting unless there's any further business to our next regularly scheduled meeting, September 22nd, 2021 at 10 a.m. The regular next scheduled board meeting.